statement that the customer originally gave, there was reference to Mr Newlands smoking and drinking whilst tattooing, cat being in the premises, and that he used an Old Spice deodorant stick to stick the transfer onto the lady's back. The tattooing had been going on in the kitchen, and the equipment that we found, there was no cleaning equipment. It was all metal, reusable tattooing grips, tips, tubes, those kind of things, which would require an ultrasonic cleaner and an autoclave, and neither of those were present.
We got tip-offs from a variety of places about these illegal scratches. Now, the tip-offs came via our social services department. They were saying about a vulnerable adult who was dared on Facebook to go for a tattoo. Our social inclusion unit, that's where children who are excluded from mainstream school. We've got 15-year-old boys that have been tattooed by a crack cocaine addict, and they were not happy about the tattoo because it had a spelling mistake and this lad's name was spelt wrong.
Infection control is still a tricky business that requires care and attention and daily practice. For somebody with no training or experience in those areas to be operating in uncontrolled areas that aren't built for that specific purpose, it's a recipe for disaster.
We get a lot of inquiries from people that have been to what we term scratches.
And what kind of condition have they been in when you've seen them?
Incredibly badly done. Pale, post-infection a lot of the time.
You wouldn't go to a backstreet dentist or a backstreet vet. So why are people going to a backstreet scratcher or piercer and then complaining that they have a problem? You know, surely you get what you pay for. Everybody knows that.
As a parent, I feel that there isn't enough information out there for other parents for a start, and also to educate you know, the general public about the health issues. I know what happened to my son is an extreme case, but to think that I can buy a box of needles off the internet and have a piercing party at home is quite frightening. And young people are doing this because they see nothing wrong with it, you know. It's just a hole in your body. But that hole, you know, is there, it's permanent, and infection can get in. And Daniel developed a very serious, he developed blood poisoning, septicemia.
We did a press release explaining that we'd taken action against 8 illegal tattooists in Sheffield. Now, Sheffield's no different to any other large city. I think that if you look in any other large city, you'll find the same kind of problems. So we did a press release and saying that we would take action, but the only action that we can take is to prosecute for non-registration, and the maximum fine for that is £1,000.
Normally with these cases we would take them under the legislation I mentioned previously, local government miscellaneous provisions. The maximum penalty there is £1,000. So by taking it under this alternative legislation, the penalty is up to £20,000 fine or 6 months in prison. So the magistrates have a lot more scope to deal with the cases.
We're encouraged to see a number of authorities around the country recognising how serious the problem is and treating it accordingly.
There are various issues. The supply of equipment needs to be addressed, the legislation itself, and also educating people so they know that if they are going for a tattoo, they should be looking for certificates of registration.
I think the local authorities would like to see, and I know the industry as well will be pushing for this, is a licensing scheme. And then you can attach conditions. And one of the conditions you could attach is a recognised qualification. Now at the moment, there's no qualification.
I think they should be like a sort of education for tattooists, maybe a college or something, and you can't get into the trade without having a proper qualification.
We've discussed it for many years, and the only thing that the union and the trade as a whole would like to see is an old-fashioned in-house apprenticeship overseen by someone with at least 5 years experience in the trade.
People out there are being exposed to risks to their health from poor practices and poor hygiene controls, and particularly in relation to these scratches. And these are the people that we have evidence that they're reusing disposable equipment, they're reusing needles. So people's health is being put at risk. So, you know, they're leaving themselves exposed to blood-borne viruses such as hepatitis and HIV/AIDS.